Hi everyone, this is Josh Miller and welcome to another Stukent expert session. Today we have the privilege of hearing from Ashley Ward. Ashley is a corporate speaker for SEMrush. Her passion is focused on helping businesses and marketing professionals gain long-term ROI through teaching content marketing and social media marketing tips and tricks. With over 7 years of experience in the digital marketing industry, journalism, and PR, Ashley brings firsthand experience to inspire marketers around the world using unique content marketing and social media marketing tactics. Speaking both internationally and throughout the US, Ashley regularly teaches workshops and speaks at conferences like PubCon, Brighton SEO, SearchLove, Digital Summits, Retail Global, and SMS Sydney. Ashley has co-authored the best-selling book, The Better Business Book Version 2, and is a contributing writer to industry blogs such as Search Engine Journal and Authority Labs. So, without further ado, I will turn the time over to Ashley.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for having me. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the nuts and bolts of content marketing, which really comes down to, do we have any ROI coming from our content? So, 88% of marketers are integrating content into their marketing strategies, which is great. That's what we all should be doing, is integrating content in some shape or form. But where it changes is 57% of marketers are actually struggling to measure the content that we're producing. So yeah, we're producing content, but we're not actually going back to see what's working and what's not working. So today I'm going to basically break down why you should measure your content, some different metrics that you can measure with your content, the costs that are associated with your content, how to get a return, and then some final takeaways. First, why should we even measure content in the first place? Why can't we just be like the 57% and choose not to measure our content? Well, a big reason is to get new content types, to learn what kind of content you should be creating besides just blog posts. An example of this is REI. They have their expert advice learning library. This is their blog. This is where they produce all of their blog content. And they found that when they actually went back and measured their blog content, they found that users were engaging for an average of 5.5 minutes per article. That's a really long time to keep someone engaged on a blog post. So that told REI two things. One, that they were actually creating content for the right demographic because the demographic was staying on the content. And two, that they can keep users engaged for a long time. So they decided, okay, if we can keep them engaged for 5.5 minutes, let's try 6-minute videos. 73% of those 6-minute videos that REI created had a 100% completion rate. That means that people watched it from beginning to end. That's huge. So then REI took note of those metrics and decided, let's release a 30-minute film. The first 30-minute film they released was called Paul's Boots, and it's gained over 1 million views on YouTube. So they started from blog posts, they measured those metrics, tried new pieces of content, which were the 6-minute videos, measured those metrics, saw that worked, and then was able to create a film. Another reason you want to measure your content metrics is to track your goal progress. If REI had never actually measured the 6-minute film metrics, then they wouldn't have known, did we actually hit our goal? Can we actually produce this content? So you need to figure out, what are your goals? What are your 6-minute videos? Are you trying to increase website traffic, decrease bounce rates, gain new backlinks? You need to decide on what your primary and secondary goals are for the content that you create. Now, let's look at some metrics that you can measure to see if you're actually aligning with those goals. I created a spreadsheet for you, so you can go use this link, bit.ly/content audit Excel. And then this Excel goes on and on and on and on, from URL all the way to word count, comments, and gets into SEO metrics. You're going to want to go back to 2017 and audit all of your content. Import all of your content data inside this Excel sheet. It's a lot of legwork up front, but you're going to be really happy after you complete it, because you're going to have a better idea of what worked last year and what didn't work last year and what to do for this year as we go into different seasons. Once you have that updated, then you can just update this on a weekly basis. You don't have to do the heavy legwork up front anymore. You can just do this once a week. Any new content that was produced, if any new content was produced in that last week, throw in those metrics here. So one of the first metrics that you're actually going to want to measure and pay attention to is your user behavior. This is your page views. How many views did your page receive? How much time did people spend on the page? For REI, they were spending 5.5 minutes and 6 minutes and 30 minutes. What's the page depth? What's the bounce rate percentage? Where are they coming from? Are they coming from social media, email newsletters? Are they new and returning users? How many additional pages are they looking at from the content on your website? And are they unique visitors? These kind of metrics you're going to be able to get from using SEMrush reports, Google Analytics, and Google Page Speed tools. These are all great tools that are going to help you track the user behavior metrics and give you an idea of how it's changing over time. Your other metric is your engagement. So this is your social media and your PR metrics. So as far as social media, how many likes, comments, and shares did the content get on social media? Was it really popular, or did it kind of just sit in the social organic space and nothing really happened? And then on the right side is the PR side of things. These are your brand mentions. How many times was your brand mentioned from this piece of content? And your incoming requests. Did another company come and reach out to you and say, hey, I loved this piece of content that you created. Can I share it on my website? Or even better, that's the republications. What's even better is if they say, hey, I love the piece of content that you created. Can we collaborate on a piece of content together? Because then you're really going to increase your views when you partner with similar companies to create content. You can track your engagement metrics using the back end of your social media platform analytics. So for Facebook, this is going into your Facebook business page metrics. Twitter is going into your analytics, and Instagram and Pinterest. You can also use a social media analytics tool like the SEMrush Social Media Tracker, which is going to give you both your social media analytics and your competitors. And then you can also use the tool Mention for all of your brand mentions. So you can track all of the mentions that are happening within your company name or your brand name online. Another metric is your SEO metric. So this is the organic traffic. Did the content that you produce, did it actually improve your organic traffic? Did it decrease your organic traffic, or did it do nothing for your rankings? You also want to look at your dwell time. This is the average length of time a visitor spends on your page before they go back to Google or Yahoo or Bing and look at a different search result. And then you have your backlinks. How many backlinks did the content get? How many good backlinks did it get? How many bad or spammy backlinks did it get? You need to track both of those. And then your keyword ranking. Was the content that you produced really keyword heavy? Did it align with your keyword goals and have the right keywords in it? You need to be able to know that and track that, and you can do that using Google Webmaster Tools. This is a great tool to kind of give you an idea of your SEO metrics over time. You can also try the SEMrush on-page SEO tracker. So on your very specific content pages, this is going to give you your SEO results by page, and then your SEMrush domain analytics. Then there's the company revenue. This is the fun part. This is the part where a lot of people say, I really don't know if my content is actually producing money, physical dollars. This is how you find out if your content's producing money, an actual ROI. You're looking at tracking the metrics on, did the content touch any existing leads? Did you generate any new leads? So content such as text on landing pages, video opt-ins, email newsletters, things like that are going to generate a lot of new leads, and you'll be able to track that lead funnel. Did they come from that one piece of content and eventually make a purchase? What was the buyer's journey? How long did it take them? Your new lead metrics is going to give you that kind of information. And then your conversion rate. What does your conversion rate look like for the piece of content, and what was the actual cost per acquisition? So this can be your cost per new lead generated. You're going to get these types of metric answers from tracking the number of returning users in your Google Analytics. You can actually set up goals so that you can see the physical dollar amount, how many new leads came in. You can also check your CRM for new leads and existing leads that came in. And then good old-fashioned math by dividing how many conversions you got by the amount of clicks that piece of content got. And finally, there's the content production metrics. These are the metrics that everyone forgets to actually include. This is creating the content. You can't forget how long it actually took you to create the content. All of the time and energy that you invested into creating that content costs money. So there needs to be some kind of ROI. You need to keep an idea of how long did it take, all those strategy meetings that you had, all those internal meetings that you had before you created the content. What about actually writing, recording, or producing the content? And then the length of the content. So now that we have an idea of metrics, which that's a lot of metrics to measure, I know, but once you get that Excel going, it's going to be really easy to just input that information on a regular basis. So let's move on and let's look at the costs that are associated with content. The two biggest costs are your time and your money. The time to create, edit, publish, and measure the content, and the money to pay in-house employees, agencies, freelancers, advertisers. We're talking about the money to produce the content and promote the content. So let's first we're going to look at the three different tiers of producing content. First is producing content in-house. As of March 9th, a content marketing manager's salary, the national average is $66,000 a year. That's not counting all of the tools that in-house marketers need. So you're looking at content curation tools like Sumo, Contently, HubSpot, Curata, Hemingway in order to make sure your content reads very well, writes very well, and then your social media sharing tools to actually distribute this content on social media by pre-scheduling it and measuring your analytics. This is the SEMrush social media poster, tools like Hootsuite, Buffer, and then you're also looking at your brand monitoring tools. This was earlier, we talked about Mention. There's also Brand24. You can do it with BuzzSumo and Cloud, and then your website analytics tools. This is going to be your SEO metrics. This is going to be tracking backlinks. This is Google Analytics, Simple Reach, OmniAssure, SEMrush, and Majestic. And then there's agency costs. So in-house costs, you have the salaries plus all of the benefits and everything that go with having an employee. And then you also have the cost of having tools in-house. So you have monthly membership subscription. If you choose not to go in-house and hire an agency, you're looking at spending anywhere from $1,200 a month to $10,000 a month. This ranges drastically because you can be working with an enterprise type of agency or a smaller local agency who works mainly with mom and pop shops. Your ranges are also going to depend on what the contract length is and how much content you're actually asking them to produce. This is where you may fall into the medium category if you're looking for regular content production, but over a 2-3 year contract. And then there's freelancer costs. This is going to be your least expensive method. We're looking at anywhere from $5 on Fiverr, which I highly do not recommend, all the way up to $3,000 for a piece of content. This is going to range based on the freelancer's level of experience and what content you actually want them to create. If you're looking at a 250-word, very short form blog post, you're going to be looking at the low end of things. But if you're looking for an in-depth case study that analyzes performance metrics over the past 5 years for the fashion industry, you're going to be looking more in the higher type of content because that's a lot more time-consuming for the freelancer to produce. What you do need to think about, though, is you're going to take all of these costs and then you're going to add your own time. So freelancing costs usually extend outside of the original cost of the freelancer. You need to include your management, your editing, and your communication time because there's going to be a lot of back and forth between you and the freelancer. And finally, there's the advertising cost. So you've produced the content either in-house through an agency or a freelancer, whichever method makes the most sense for you and your goals. Now you need to advertise the content. Content marketers are spending on average $500 to $5,000 plus to advertise content. This is a drastic range. And I mean, when we say plus on the 5,000, it could be 10,000, it could be 50,000, it could be 100,000 to promote content. But here we're looking at comparing the mom and pop shops all the way up to the Coca-Cola and Red Bull brands. All in all, that's a lot of money that we're spending to produce and advertise content on a regular basis. So let's keep our content costs down. You can do that by repurposing your content. One thing that we do is every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern, or 8 a.m. Pacific, we do a Twitter chat. It's the SEMrush Twitter chat, and we just ask out into the Twitter world, within the digital marketing industry, some pending questions. If Google just released a new update, we'll talk about that. If there's an argument over ranking factors or how fast your mobile pages should be loading or AMP pages, things like that, we'll just have this discussion. So we'll have a series of questions, and then Twitter users are welcome to actually answer them and then have a discussion back and forth with each other. It's actually a great way to meet a lot of new people in the industry and kind of get your name out there. So what we do after we do the Twitter chat is we then turn the Twitter chat conversation into a blog post. We can take it a step further and actually turn that blog post into a video. We can hone in on a couple of people who were heavily participating, ask them if we could do a video recording, and then pull the audio from that video recording and turn it into a podcast. So all of these new types of content pieces, the video and the audio recording, and the blog post, is all coming from one piece of content that we originally created, which was the Twitter chat. You also want to focus on quality and not quantity when it comes to keeping your content costs down. One of the questions that we ask on our chat is it better to publish new content regularly or one piece of evergreen content quarterly? Back to back to back, we had people coming in and saying it's not really about getting a system, and it's not really about having to pump out as much content as possible. It's about pumping out the best quality of content as possible. You also want to invite your user-generated content in order to keep your content costs down. This is free content that your users and your followers are creating for you based on your brand. It's really important to do this and to include this into your content as a mix, because 76% of individuals say they trust content shared by average people more than by brands, which makes sense. Look at your own user behavior. You're more likely to trust if your aunt shared something on a new fashion brand that she just came across and really loves the product, versus if the fashion brand came out and just posted another corporate branded image themselves. So how can you profit from content in 2018? We went over why you need to measure, different metrics to actually measure how much content costs to produce. Now let's go over how you can actually get your money back. You want to match your content with your actual goal. So in the beginning, we talked about coming up with your primary and secondary goals. Well, certain types of content is going to actually produce results for certain types of goals. So if you're trying to generate new leads, some of the best types of content you can do is email newsletters, landing pages, ads on your social media pages, and social media posts. This is going to help you generate new leads more than something like a blog post or a video will. But if you want to increase rankings, there's all other different types of content that's going to help you do that the best. You also need to make your content mobile friendly. Mobile devices are projected to reach 79% of global internet use by the end of the year. That's more than half now. That's almost 100% of our global internet use is going to be by mobile devices by the end of the year. That's huge. And nearly 8 in 10 customers are going to stop engaging with content that doesn't display well on their devices. So if you have 80% of global internet use being used on your mobile devices, the 8 in 10 customers are going to leave your mobile device if the content doesn't display well. You have to think mobile first with your content. And in order to do that, you need to keep your text size a readable size. It can't be too small. It can't be too large. You need to keep your image file sizes and your video file sizes small and loadable so that it doesn't slow down your page loads. And you need to aim for a load speed of less than 2 seconds, preferably within the half a second to second range. I wanted to run an experiment and kind of showcase how different mobile search is compared to desktop. And so I went into SEMrush and I just looked up what the BuzzFeed desktop keyword positions were. So when someone goes to Google and they type in BuzzFeed and they're on their desktop, what are they actually searching for? What's coming up? They're searching for things like BuzzFeed, BuzzFeed quizzes, quiz, air fryer, and food. BuzzFeed is known for their food recipes. They're known for their quizzes that most of the time people do while they're at work and things like that. And then if you go and look at mobile, what's happening when BuzzFeed comes up on mobile searches? Of course, BuzzFeed is the first. And then you look and you see Nicki Minaj, you see quizzes again, Yo Mama jokes, and Would You Rather. This is so incredibly interesting because it makes sense. When we're on our mobile devices and we're searching for something in the moment, in that second. We need an answer right away. So if we're with our friends or colleagues and we're talking about jokes, we're looking up Yo Mama jokes right away, and BuzzFeed is one of those search results that's populating. We're looking at Would You Rathers. We're looking at celebrities. We're taking quizzes, things like that on our mobile devices. We're acting differently and we're searching differently on mobile than we are on desktop. So we need to have content results that actually mimic that. You also need to track your metrics over time. So is your content receiving backlinks? Is it getting engagement? Is it getting the conversions that it needs? Make sure you're tracking your metrics and see how things change over time. And finally, some takeaways. Set goals. All of your content needs to be created with a goal in mind. Don't just produce content to check off your to-do list. Measure your results. Every piece of content is going to create different results. And sometimes that means no results at all. That's okay. That's why you're producing content. That's why you're producing new types of content, is because you need to know what's going to produce results and what doesn't. And finally, keep on. Creating content that converts doesn't happen on the first try. Usually it may not happen on the 50th or the 100th try. It takes a lot. But as long as you're setting your goals, you're measuring your metrics, just keep producing content until you find those gems. And that's all from me. If you would like a copy of these slides, you can email me, ashley.ward@semrush.com. We're also offering a 7-day trial, so if you're interested in giving SEMrush a try, you can email me as well, or tweet me at @AshleyMadHatter. I would love to answer any of your content questions, especially when it comes to metrics, social, or anything like that.